She's so fine, hell of a blows my mind.
What's good, guys? So it's a little bit different for me. I don't usually start my videos like this. But I've been running all day long. I've been working on bits and pieces of the video as I went throughout the day. But this is going to be a video regarding Taylor Blackwell. And there's no new news, unfortunately. But this is going to be like a who, what, when, why, where, and how video. So everything's kind of collectively in one place. But it's going to be for those that are interested, of course, and anybody that might be stumbling along the internet that might bump into it. Hopefully it brings awareness of some sort, because people still do not know about this case. I know they did a protest yesterday, and I'll try to cover that some in the video. But I just wanted to do something a little different on this video. I'm sure it's going to shock some of my normal subscribers or regulars, because I never do this. But regardless, been running all day, like I said, and I'm about to wrap the head up and take the makeup off and put the lounge clothes on. But I'm going to try to get this video uploaded as soon as possible. But I appreciate you guys for subscribing and watching. I really appreciate all of my subscribers. So, thanks, guys. Alright, so like I said in the intro, this is going to be a who, what, when, why, where, and how video in regards to Taylor Blackwell. And today is Tuesday, July the 21st, 2020. So we're going to start with who. And that's naturally going to take us to Taylor Blackwell. This is an image of Taylor. This is when she graduated from high school. This is her mother, Chiffon Buckner. This is an image taken from one of the protests there in Sacramento. I know they've had several protests. I believe they're on their third protest. But this was taken at one of those protests, and if I'm not mistaken, she had just finished speaking, and that's why her mask is on the way it is, before somebody jumps on that. And she's outdoors, and it's probably about 200 degrees in the shade there. Sacramento County Coroner Kimberly Jenn. This is her, and you're going to hear quite a bit about her, especially right now. But it's always good to put a face with the name. I've always said that. This is the community activist, and I know I'm mispronouncing his name, and I apologize in advance. Barry Asius. And he is also the founder of Voice of the Youth. And you'll see and hear him quite often, because he's been really involved in this case. He's kind of leading the way, if you will, which is great, because I think he's really good at that. This is the Sacramento Police Department's first female sergeant and current public information officer, Sergeant Sabrina Briggs. And when they make a statement, this is usually who they send that statement through, for the media, etc. So it's always good to know who you're dealing with. Then we have the unknown male who was at the hotel with Taylor Blackwell. And as of right now, as of this video, We have no idea who that is. And finally, we have the unknown female who accompanied the unknown male back to the hotel when Taylor Blackwell was found. And I think that's going to cover all of the who section for right now. So we're going to move on to what. So to do the what portion, I went to the City of Sacramento Police Department, and I was going to go to their news release to take their word directly from their page. And there is not one single mention of this case in all their news releases. Very disappointing. So, I'm going to go to a news article so that we can discuss the what. But, yeah, that's another very fishy thing. That there's not one single mention of this case. Nothing. That was the press release section. They have a daily activity log. So I went to the date, and for that particular date, there is nothing. Not one single thing. Went to the day before that. Nothing. And the day after. And they have several different commands. They have a North Command, an East Command, which I will show you all of that as well. But nothing. So, that's also very fishy. And it says on this daily activity log, the Sacramento Police Department responds to a variety of events and calls for service each day. To make it easier for citizens to follow these activities, we present the department's daily activity log, which I clicked on. And it says clicked on a highlighted calendar day to read about police activity for that day. And then it shows commonly used acronyms on that daily activity log. But nothing. And it says the information provided allows for a timely snapshot of significant events in our community. The crimes reported here are preliminary investigations taken in the field by patrol officers and may or may not be assigned to a detective for further investigation. The information provided may be found after further investigation to be incorrect or false. Certain details of these incidents have been removed due to potential follow-up investigation into the incident and or for privacy rights. So I went to this news site, kcra.com, and this is from the protest where they protested at the Sacramento County Coroner's Office, and that was on the 20th of July. So I'm going to go ahead and play that video because I'm right here on it.
Dozens of people gathered outside the Sacramento coroner's office today demanding answers in the death of Taylor Blackwell.
Yeah, that 19-year-old was found dead 5 months ago at a room at the Woodsprings Suites Hotel on La Mancha Way. Now, Sacramento police tell us that homicide detectives and the Sacramento County Coroner's Office responded to the hotel room when Blackwell was found. Crime scene investigators also collected evidence and documented the scene, and they say the case is open and active. As for Blackwell's family, they say they are tired of waiting and they want to know what happened to her.
We just want the truth. We just want them to do their jobs and do it diligently and make her a priority. She was 19 years old. She was a college student. She had a job. She was not a stereotype. She was not a statistic. She was on her way to finishing her college education and career, and her life was cut down. And we want to know why, and I deserve to know why.
Well, this is not the first time that the families had a demonstration to try to get some answers. 2 weeks ago, dozens of family members and community members gathered at the Woodsprings Suites Hotel. And a week ago, protesters took it to the streets demanding answers in the death of Blackwell, and they blocked traffic on Freeport Boulevard and Fruit Ridge Road. We reached out to the coroner's office today about the case and so far have not received a response.
Nor did I. So, what? Get back to the question of what. So right now, it is being called a death investigation. It is not considered a homicide at this time. So this article is from ABC 10. And her mother said the week before her daughter's death, she learned that a man Taylor connected with on Instagram showed up at Taylor's job unannounced and uninvited. Wanting to know more about the situation, Buckner said she asked her daughter about the man. Quote, "I don't even know him. I'm not dealing with him." End quote. Buckner recalled her daughter saying, quote, "I took her word for it." End quote, Buckner said. Buckner said her daughter went to the movies on the last night of her life. She thought her daughter was at the theater with a friend, but found out after Taylor's death that she was actually on a date with the man they had previously spoken about. Buckner said Taylor brought her dinner after the movies and assumed she went straight to her room, but she later received a text from Taylor saying that she was going to stay the night with her best friend. The next morning, she awoke to her niece banging on the front door. Quote, "She was screaming, crying, 'She's gone, she's gone,'" end quote, Buckner recalled. Her niece received the news from a family friend in Georgia who told them that a post about Taylor was circulating online. Quote, "She said someone had put my daughter's ID picture on social media, asking if anyone knew who her family was and that she had been found dead at a hotel," end quote, Buckner recounted. The family gave Buckner a telephone number for a young lady who worked at the Woodsprings Suites, Sacramento, located at 7789 La Mancha Way. Quote, "She said a co-worker sent her Taylor's ID picture, telling her that she had just been found dead at the hotel," Buckner said, "but she hadn't got to work yet. So she sent the picture to social media. It got all the way to Georgia, then back to my niece, and that's how we found out," end quote. Buckner said she contacted the police, but they said they didn't have any information on her daughter. She, that would be Miss Buckner, along with family and friends, went to the Woodsprings Suites, Sacramento. When they arrived looking for answers about Taylor, they were told her death was just a rumor, Buckner said. The grief-stricken mother was skeptical. Quote, "We sat there for hours. They put police tape up and sent out their chaplain," Buckner remembered. "It's a rumor, but you sent a chaplain?" End quote. She said officers eventually took her to the police station on Freeport Boulevard. Quote, "They drove me there just to tell me they believed it was her, according to a photo on file at the hotel, end quote, Buckner said. When Buckner asked to see and identify her daughter's body, the deputy coroner told her she wouldn't be able to see Blackwell until her remains were released to the funeral home. Quote, "We don't generally let family come in and identify a body. It's usually done by some scientific means, and in this case it was done by fingerprint," end quote. Sacramento County Coroner Kimberly Ginn said. Buckner said detectives told her that the man Taylor was with that night left the hotel room at some point. They said he later returned to the hotel with another woman and found Taylor's body when they went back to the room, according to Buckner. The man and woman apparently tried to help Taylor but were unsuccessful, Buckner recalled the detective saying. Quote, "They were interviewed and released," Buckner said. He said at this point it's just a suspicious death and it can be ruled as anything from an accident to a homicide, end quote. Sacramento police officials would not confirm Buckner's recollection of the information detectives provided her. Quote, "This is still an active investigation, and to protect the integrity of the case, we are unable to provide further details at this time," end quote, Sergeant Briggs said in an email to ABC 10. Overwhelmed with grief, Buckner said she couldn't bring herself to view her daughter's body prior to the funeral service. She said she didn't see her daughter again until the day of her wake, which was 3 weeks after she was found dead. When she finally saw Taylor's body, she said she was unprepared for what she saw. Quote, "The detective said there was no blood at the scene, so I'm thinking she wasn't physically harmed and that there was no foul play here," Buckner explained. "Then I go to the wake and I see her lips busted, a gash on the bridge of her nose, bruises on her face. Her arms had to be covered because they were so bruised up," end quote. Buckner said after seeing her daughter's appearance, she started to believe someone harmed her, quote, "baby," end quote. Quote, "I can't fathom anyone wanting to harm my daughter, and that's why with everything in me, I want to believe this was an accident. But none of this makes sense to me," end quote, she said. Buckner said she became discouraged when the detective originally assigned to the case told her she, quote, "may not ever know what happened to her daughter," end quote. She also said the coroner's office is past the 3-month window they told her it would take to determine the cause of death. Quote, "I'm just exhausted on every level, mentally, physically, and emotionally. I don't know what my rights are regarding her investigation," Buckner said. "I feel like they don't care about my baby," end quote. Ginn said for cases like Taylor's, and this is the county coroner, her office usually takes 4 months to complete its death investigations. She said the autopsy was done in March, and the report should be coming back shortly. Quote, "We're still working on this, and we're treating it carefully, which is normal for something like this," Ginn said. "She may not receive an autopsy report if we rule it's a homicide. By law, we can't give it out until the suspect is adjudicated," end quote. The Sacramento Police Department said detectives conduct an investigation into the incident based on the coroner's findings, which is why there have been few answers regarding Taylor's death. Buckner said the coroner's office called her Friday and said that her daughter's autopsy results would be expedited, but they did not provide a timeline. Quote, "I just want the truth. I want the truth whether it was an accident, a homicide, a manslaughter situation," Buckner said. "Whatever the case, I want the truth about what happened to my daughter, and if anybody is responsible in that way, I want them held accountable," end quote. So, and then it goes on to say that the Sacramento Police Department encourages any witnesses with information about Taylor's death to contact the dispatch center. And that part was what kind of threw me off a little bit. So that's the what. We have a suspicious death investigation. So that's what we have right now. And we still don't have this autopsy report back. But you can just, it sounds funny from jump. From her going there and them telling her that, you know, they really don't know what she's talking about, but they send the chaplain out, and it just sounds bizarre. All right. So that's the what in this case. So we're going to move on to the when in regards to this death and the circumstances surrounding it. This is an article from LaylasNews.com, and it says that around 12 a.m. on the fateful day, Taylor was found dead at the Woodsprings Suites Hotel in Sacramento. And at the top it says that she passed away on February 28th, 2020. So I would assume, just from the way this is worded, that she spent the night there on the 27th of February and then was found dead around 12 a.m. on the 28th of February of this year. Now, so February the 27th, 2020 was a Thursday. So the next day would have been a Friday. I know that Taylor's funeral information was not made public, according to another news article, and that she had the wake 3 weeks after she was found dead. So that's another win. So the wake was 3 weeks after she was found in the hotel. Another win in this case is, when are we going to get this report back? This autopsy, this expedited autopsy report. So the coroner, Kimberly Jen, said that they sent it or did whatever they needed to do in March, and that it typically takes 4 months. Well, this month will be 4 months. So, you know, here it is already the 21st and still no answers. So that's the wins in this case. Some more wins in this case were the dates of the protests. The latest one being on the 20th, and that was the one that was the protest at the Sacramento County Coroner's Office. Then they had another one at the intersection of Freeport Road, and one more, I believe. So that would be 3 protests. I don't have the dates of those protests in front of me, and I couldn't find them, honestly. So that's the wins. Yeah, the autopsy was done in March and should be coming back shortly. So, and I'm assuming the police are going to wait until that comes back before they make their decision, because they're technically waiting to see what the coroner says about Taylor's death. So, that's the wins in this case. The next question would be why? And we honestly have no idea why at this point. I mean, we don't even know who the man and woman were that were in the hotel room with her. So, And if you go back to the who, you could also list the hotel employees, the 2 hotel employees. We don't know who they are either. But we certainly don't know why, because nothing has been said by the Sacramento police. They gave one little piddly statement through Sergeant Sabrina Briggs, and that's about all that they've said in regards to this case. And it certainly wasn't a why. They don't even know how it happened. They don't even know what's going on. And if they do, they're being very tight-lipped. And I understand that if it's an open investigation, and it's truly an open investigation. And honestly, I think they have the stuff that they need, but they're just waiting on the coroner's report. So I think you'll find that once the coroner report comes in, then they will either pursue this case or close the case and call it accidental and call it a day. So, but we don't know why in this case. We have no idea. No idea. All right, let's take a look at where all of this took place. All right, so this is the This is another view of the hotel, just from a different angle. This is the City of Sacramento Public Safety Center. It's a tad bit blurry, but you kind of get the gist of it. Then I told you earlier about the different north, south, east police facilities. And these are those facilities. This is the William J. Kinley Police Facility, located at 3550 Marysville Boulevard in Sacramento. This is the Joseph E. Rooney Police Facility, located at 5303 Franklin Boulevard in Sacramento, California. And this is the Richard Police Facility at 300 Richards Boulevard, Sacramento, California. There on the corner. This is the Sacramento County Coroner's Office, located at 4800 Broadway, number 100, there in Sacramento. This is where the protest took place yesterday. Now, this is not the exact apartment that Taylor and her mother, Chiffon Buckner, live in, but it's a large set of apartment complexes, and so this is what the apartment complexes look like. I always just like to get a feel for what I'm looking at, or what I have pictured in my head versus what's really there, and that's why I featured that on here. This is Sierra College. This is where Taylor Blackwell was enrolled and attending, and where she was majoring in psychology, and where she was also the vice president of the Black Student Union. Now, the reason why I looked up her address in the first place was to see how far away the Woodsprings Suites was located. And you can see her residence there at the bottom with the little red balloon. And there was 2 routes that she could have taken. 2 main routes, you should say. The shorter of which is the 6-minute route, which they've highlighted. And the 8-minute route, which was longer, but a straighter shot, if you will. And it was 1.6 miles from her home to the hotel, or 6 minutes. Now, I didn't look up the movies because it's really irrelevant, because she told her mom that she was going to her best friend's house to spend the night. Now, I don't know her best friend's name or the home. I have an idea who her best friend was from a video that the friends did for the news station. But I'm not for sure, and I definitely don't know her address. But I am interested in that. And another thing that I'm interested in is, because there was no mention of it, how she got from point A to point B. Did she drive her vehicle? Did she have a vehicle, or did she drive her mom's vehicle? Those questions. Like, did they have to pick up a vehicle from somewhere? Or we know that she told her mom she was staying with her best friend. Did the best friend come and get her and she leave truly from the best friend's house? Or did this man come and get her from her house? There's a lot of unanswered questions there as far as how she got to the hotel that I would be interested to know. And that kind of takes us into the whole how. So my question would be, how did she get there? Of course, how it happened. But we don't know that either. How she died. So those are questions that we don't know the answer to, unfortunately, at this point. But I think that's going to pretty much wrap up the video. And hopefully we will hear something on this autopsy very soon, so that we can get an update, and hopefully this mother can find out what happened to her child. So I appreciate you guys for watching the video. I just want to bring awareness to the situation, because this is absolutely despicable that this mother does not know what happened to her child from February the 28th to present. I mean, we are almost done with the month of July, and that's just over 140 days of not knowing what happened to your child. Is just, that's just so wrong. It's wrong on so many different levels. So, again, thanks for watching. I appreciate you guys. Have a great night.